Leah James interview.
For sure.
By myself and Juniper Jones, and yeah, we'll be right back.
Shout out June.
All right, well, welcome to Lyrical Ones. My name is Junie B. Jones. I have Miss Leah James, spoken word artist and political activist, here with us, along with our co-host, Cineo.
Cineo.
Forgive me, is that how you'd like to be introduced? How do you want to be introduced? Introduce yourself, Cineo.
Well, I mean, for those that know and those that don't, I'm Cineo. I'm the big supporter of the lyrical opposition movement and co-host for Lyrical Ones. And, right now, here we are. And this is a special segment, spearheaded and directed by June. Just so
thank you. Yes, thank you.
But, yeah, the mask, if you don't know, like I say all the time, right? This is about protecting your privacy, right? In a world of overindulgence and commodification, your identity, I'm going to be the one to always speak to having some privacy and having some anonymity. So, as some of my favorite idols, if you will, said it, nobody cared who I was till I put the mask on. So
I like that a lot. I'm about to get a mask. People are going to know it's me because I talk all the time and they know my voice. But still, I like that idea. I like it a lot.
Thank you. So, Jenna P, back to you.
Oh, thank you so much. And your mask is it's original and it's appreciated. I think it sends a message that everyone can hear. And if I may share about messages, all right. So we have a special segment, yes, for this portion of Lyrical Ones, where we are highlighting and really, I would say, the Black Lives Matter movement, but from a different perspective. And that perspective is of Miss Leah James, who is no stranger to sharing her voice through the artistry of spoken word poetry. If I may share, if I have to gas her up, I mean, I have to let her up, because Miss Leah James is from New York, and you have, I would say, debuted to the world with Dear Black Man, a manifesto more than an in memoriam to fuel the Black Lives Matter movement. And this video itself has acquired over 25,000 views on YouTube, and a quarter of that has gone to your most recent posting of this performance earlier this month from Times Square. So if the future is female, then Leah James is now.
That was so, oh my God, I got chills.
Girl,
wow.
You okay?
Yo, I'm badass. Yo, you were talking and I'm like, that's me. That's wild. That's so great. Thank you, June. Thank you.
So yes, now that we are here, tell us about yourself. Who is Leah James, the spoken word artist?
So I am Leah James. I'm originally from Chicago. Well, I'm from Joliet, Illinois. If you know where that is, it's usually not a good thing. From the hood. And I lived in 7 different houses by the time I was 11 years old. We were extremely poor. And the last house I lived in was the one I was in the longest for about 3-4 years. I lived in an all Black neighborhood, and there was like 2 white families on my street, and we were one of them. And my mom opened up our home to literally everyone. So I grew up in a home that like was all different colors, literally. So my mother never taught me not to see color, because I think that's bullshit. But she taught me to embrace everyone no matter what they look like. Because when you're poor, you all just poor. Like, it's like you're all fighting the same battle. So I grew up in that environment. As far as like my political poetry or whatever you want to call it, it's influenced by my upbringing. I literally watched the police like ruin my brother's lives just because of their proximity to Blackness. My brother has been arrested and documented as a Black man. We're white, but my father is half Native, or was half Native and half Irish, and then my mother was half Sicilian and half German. So we're like creamish white, you know what I'm saying? Like mixed, like, but we're still white. So it was a really interesting upbringing because I thought that was normal, right? And then I moved after my mother died. I moved to Hamilton, New Jersey, which is like the whitest place on earth that I've ever seen. Like, I always compare it to this. Like, you ever see the movie White Chicks? So
yeah.
when I first saw the movie White Chicks, like, I didn't understand it. I was like, what? Because I didn't know anyone who talked like that. And I didn't think it was funny because I'm like, I don't have anyone to compare this to, right? So then I moved to Hamilton, New Jersey, and I swear to God, like, my whole high school talked like the people in White Chicks. Like, it was so funny, yo. I was calling my friends back home, like, oh my God, they wear mini skirts and boots out here, like, in the wintertime. Like, all the stereotypical shit that white people do that, like, I thought was like a freak thing just for Hamilton. Like, it was just so funny. But then I started going to an all-black church, literally, like 700 Black people than me. And I was part of that church for 10 years. So all of my main socialization has been from Black people or people of color, but specifically Black American people. And I started writing these poems and stuff like that. And when I was 16, I had a stroke. I survived a brain hemorrhage and I lost my short-term memory for 3 years. And I have crazy faith. At the time, I was really, really Christian. Now I'm just like a millennial that's like, I'm super spiritual, you know? So like now I'm deeply spiritual, but I know something greater than me healed me and got me better because my voice is here for a purpose. So from having a stroke and losing my short-term memory, it gave me this crazy boldness and this crazy like audacity, if you will, to speak. And so like the miracle of me surviving mixed with, my upbringing and my proximity to Black people and Blackness and Black culture mixed with you're going to hear my voice because I'm meant to be heard, is how Leah James came to be this bad bitch in front of you right now.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
That is okay. All right. Now, can we let everyone hear just how bad you really is, though? Can you do a piece? Could you do Dear Black Man for everyone to hear?
I would love to.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. I might cry a little bit because
now when
I do it, in a climate like this, it hits really hard. Even though America has been racist and Black men and women have been getting killed, there's something different about, I don't know if you guys can agree, but it feels different this time. So every time I've been asked to perform this poem recently, I've gotten really emotional. So that's probably what'll happen, just to let you know.
And that is just fine. However it flows.
All right. Dear Black man, I am not staring at you because I think you are going to rob me. I promise. I will not hold my purse tighter when you are around, nor lock my car doors just because you walk by. I cannot stop staring at you because your beauty is breathtaking. It reminds me of safety, of protector, of strength. Your melanin holds manuscripts of those who created dynasties birthed by queens who first populated this planet. Your melanin is magic. This is no Mandingo memoir, nor some type of sick fetish. You are no object, nor oversexed male. You are lover, friend. You are no thug. Let this serve as a reminder that your life matters more than just the people who look like you. I speak for the people who look like me, who may actually just be afraid to say it, that without you, there is no America, no so-called land of the free, where your equality is said to be subpar to even me. There is no revolution, no passion, no arts or music. There is no renaissance, no birth, no breath, no life, no me, no spoken word. You are the creator of good things. God's image is etched into your very being. Black man, you are no boy. The pavement was never meant to be your grave. Blood-splattered shirts were never meant to be your attire. Your skin was never meant to be a target. Your smile was never supposed to fade. Your wings were never meant to be caged behind bars in a country that you helped build, symbolized by an eagle. Despite the hypocrisy, you forgive. Black man, it is okay to cry. I will cry with you. We will cry with you. Solidarity was never meant for the cold-hearted anyway. Let's leave the hate for the media and the lies that they spray. They spit on your character as though it were dirt at an attempt at making the blind see. They are no savior. They are serpents, poisoning society, lacing eyes shut to oppression, manipulating minds to make them think that the selling of young Black men to the prison system is just a figment of our imagination. Black men, you are no slave, no convict, no criminal. You are brave. You are bold enough to face another day in a country that teaches that your face should be feared. Black man, I thank you for living, for being. Forgive the stares of strangers. They may be out of fear, as in reverence, as in respect, as in awe of such a precious life. Black man, you matter. Black life matters. Thank you.
Absolutely breathtaking.
Thanks. Ooh.
Thank you for that. Like, you know, given that it was, you wrote that, well, from what I seen, was that from 2016, 2015?
Yeah, and I actually wrote it like 2 years prior to ever releasing it.
And them words still sting, like,
yeah,
hyper relevant for you know, every unfortunate time, every, you know, kind
right.
of catastrophe that's happened. Like, those words ring forever true, and like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel them, the gravity.
Wow. Yeah, it's deep, man. It's crazy. Someone told me the other day, they're like, it's timeless. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, it's a beautiful poem, right? And it's a reflection of my heart. But it also angers me that like I even had to write it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I don't know. It's been weighing heavy on my heart, and I should not be praised as a white woman that I wrote this shit. Like, you know, like it's a very conflicting feeling when I do it. This should be the norm. You know, it should be a normal thing to say and to believe and to hold true because it is true. So yeah.
Thank you, and I agree. And if I may share, I do recall seeing Leah that you were in the Black Lives Matter protests with the top that says "Matter is the minimum."
Oh yeah.
And to also bring it back to your piece, the imagery that you give is it's almost too much to process. And I know that you have a line about the pavement, and it's almost foretelling of the most recent murder of George Floyd, on how his neck was pressed down by the knee of a police officer for 9 minutes. So
right.
it's powerful. And you're right. I think that we should be gathering and praising under different circumstances. But if this is a reflection of what's taking place in our world today, this is for the culture. This is the culture to join together. I'm just thankful to be sharing in this moment and in hearing your words.
Wow, thank you for that. Yeah, definitely. It's funny because like, I don't know, people would, I think I was naive in like the opposite way. You know, I grew up thinking everybody loved each other. And I do think that speaks to my white privilege in a way, but I also grew up around people who didn't look like me, who fully accepted me, who welcomed me in, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, when people would thank me, I would be like, for what? Like, it would confuse me. And so now that I'm older, I'm starting, I understand now. I get it. Like, I am unique. Like, I don't, nor any other white women my age anywhere, and I travel a lot, who are doing it. So I get it. I get the thank yous now, but still, I still hope one day that this will be the norm, that it won't be shocking for a white person to speak out on behalf of Black people, because yeah, it's just something that it makes me very angry, to say the least.
I mean, rightfully so. I mean, it is a thing that the contrast is always going to stand out, right? Like you as a white woman speaking to kind of the Black pain that exists within this country. And like, you know, we live in an era now where everything is recorded, everything is documented, everything is kind of, you know, everybody can see everything. There's nothing, you know, to the imagination, right? And our worst fears being projected on a constant basis. And it holds hyper relevance for you to take the stand that you have to kind of, you know, just speak from your heart and let it be known, like your experiences, who you are, giving context to that piece. Like more people need to know that there's people out there that exist, that care, that have the compassion and empathy to see beyond the constraints and like the oppressive standards that have been put on us all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
you know, like it's bittersweet in the sense that it took for you to be in a impoverished situation to have to live in a community where you can't get away from it. Like there's no separation. It's you're in it.
Right.
And
Right.
fortunately you had, you know, a parent or a guardian or a mother that was able to be like, we're here, like we're a part of the community, like we're not gonna segment or cut ourselves off, like we're a part of the community now and you are a part of this community, so
right,
responsible as a community member. And so to me, you know, hearing this piece and hearing, you know, your perspective, it is uplifting. It means something to me as a Black man to know that there's other people out there who are willing to use whatever benefit, whatever privilege, whatever they have, the platform that they've been given to be able to highlight my family, because that's what it comes to, right? Like you highlight my cousins, my brothers from another who, you know, we're living in a society right now where we're targets, we're hunted.
Right.
We don't have the most best representation from the white community, if you will, to be like, hey, love y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Never that, you know, that clear. And it's like, you know, to know that we have allies out there, we because you know, you put yourself in a vulnerable position to say these things, you know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be people who identify you with this, and it's for the, and it can also be for the worse. So, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had backlash from Black and white people.
I mean,
and it's like,
don't happen, you know.
But I get it. I get more so the Black people's annoyance than the whites, because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you see another person who looks like you saying, hey, Black people are oppressed, stop killing Black people, you think you would listen. But if you see someone who looks like the oppressor saying, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's a difference. So I totally get it. Like, at first it would bother me, but now I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I get the backlash, and like literally, like I've had people in college, like, because I've been like this my whole life. Like I've had people in college, like, and now we're like super good friends, relationship, and to build that trust. And I think from educating myself and realizing like the relationship between Black and white people historically, why that occurs. And so it's like, I don't really take to heart anymore. Well, sometimes I do because I'm emotional. I don't really take to heart though, like the questioning of like the validity of my message or my experiences. And I think that took time as well, like getting to know myself, getting to embrace my experiences, like, you know, being in a white person's body and being in Black communities my whole life. Like, it's been a journey. But to hear what you just said and your perspective and how, you know, it just, I don't know, it just makes sense. And the more I perform it and the more people I do it in front of, the more I get why people say what they say. And yeah, I hope I just made sense.
Absolutely. There's so much to unpack.
Right.
and we're just flowing. So everything is as steady as she goes.
Right.
Let's see. What more would you like your listeners to know about you? You had mentioned that you've done showcases before. Are you out on the East Coast doing showcases? How can we see you more? How can we get more of your works?
Well, I currently live in Trenton, New Jersey. Everyone thinks I'm from New York, so I was honored when y'all said that. I was like, I am, but I'm not. I would spend like half the week in New York and half the week in New Jersey. But my artist showcases that I host are in Trenton. So I chose to do it in my community because at the time, nobody was doing what I wanted to do here in the community. And then I was an Uber driver and I talked my head off. So I met two people who worked at a Starbucks that opened downtown Trenton. At first I was so angry. I was like, they gentrifying Trenton, they got a Starbucks, whatever. But then Starbucks, actually there is only 10 community stores across the country, and they're in urban, I guess, I hate that word, but they're in like urban areas that are more city-like, that have more diversity in the population, and Trenton is one of them. So I picked up two people and they were like, yo, you should host a showcase at Starbucks. And I was like, what? You should introduce me to your manager. So they did. And I met the manager and she like cried when she met me. We're like super close now. She lets me use their space for free. So I get to host artist showcases, and like my first 3 showcases, all the people on my showcases are Black because that's like all I know. But like, I uplift voices that normally would not be heard. And it's really, really dope to see that happen, that occur, and then other people to get booked off of like, I was like, oh, finally, like I'm doing what I always wanted to do. So just like from being myself and meeting people and sharing my story, I've had opportunities given to me to help others. From working with the Starbucks, I put on a clothing drive with my friend. Her name is Maja. She has her own clothing line called Exo Maja, and we did a pop-up shop where people can come shop our shop and take clothes for free in the community, and Starbucks let us use their community room. So that's when the whole controversy happened with Starbucks. I was like, I'm just gonna keep drinking it and keep it a secret, right? Like, cause I was like, I can't. Number one, I'm an addict. Number two, I'm like, there's no way. So Starbucks is not against Black Lives Matter. They just wanted their employees to wear a uniform provided by them, not their own clothing. And so they interviewed one barista and they spun it, and of course it went viral because everybody want to cancel everybody in this day and age for everything. Because I talked to the manager about it. I was like, girl, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can keep working with y'all. And then she broke it down to me. And then if you look in the Trenton store, everyone who's employed there is Black or Latinx, or like a woman, or they only hire like minorities or people who are marginalized, like in the store. So it's like, if you want to we were talking like how if you want to shut down the store, you'll be taking away jobs from your own people. So from working with them, it's helped me to get more involved in the community and more involved in a political way. So from using my poetry and giving other people a platform, I've got introduced to the Starbucks manager who knows the mayor, who knows all these people in Trenton. And it's just really, really cool. Like, I just did it from being myself. And my purpose behind doing it is like, I want people's voices to be heard. I feel like I have been given so many large stages. Like, I have spoke on the world's largest poetry showcase stage twice. People trust me with their stage. So I'm like, this is not an accident. If people are going to listen to me, y'all going to listen to my friends too. And so I made it happen, and it's worked. And I cannot wait till the world opens up again, probably in like 5 years. But I just can't wait to like do it again. So yeah, it's more than just an artist showcase. It's like I don't know. I don't know what to call it.
And we cannot wait for you to do that again. I mean, we're waiting for the world to open up as well.
Right.
Don't get us wrong. But
Right.
yes, it sounds like you're an integral part of your community, and just using the message that there is a power to your voice that is being passed on to each and every person that partakes in your showcase, or even comes just to seep in the
Wow.
wisdom and all the love that sounds like is going on. And I'm just so thankful and excited to hear about everything.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
And we're happy to call you friends.
Sorry, June.
What happened? So there's a delay on my end. So can y'all hear me?
What I was gonna say was is that you shedding light on that Starbucks situation broke my mind, because I had no idea. I had no clue that was a thing. Like, I knew about people canceling it, and I know, like, I try to avoid personally the cancel culture stuff. Like,
right.
Just keep my distance.
As I sip my Starbucks real quick.
Man,
Go
it's
ahead.
toxic. I mean, what y'all do? It's supporting the community. Well, I mean, what we gonna do at the end of the day? And
right.
to know that there is a lot more context to that situation around, like, you know, they wanted it to do it their way, right? Like,
yeah.
This at the end of the day, and they wanted to have the message be presented in a way they felt like was appropriate.
Right.
Is that, you know, I get because I'm in it right now. Like, the other me, the me that works at a nonprofit, right? Like, I'm in these conversations about how do I show up at work and not compromise my identity for your safety, or for what you feel is appropriate, right? Like, these standards have been placed upon us, and it is I don't look at anything as like, I need to get rid of you. What I need to do is work with you, and we need to find common ground. And
right.
a lot of times it's easy for people to get in their echo chambers on social media and be like, oh, well, they did that wrong. And instead of trying to figure out the answer or figure out the right way, we just go to, well, you no longer, like, imagine being a 5-year-old in class and the teacher says, you got it wrong, you're no longer a part of class.
Right.
How do you figure out what the answer is if you're just excluded? So to me, I look at it like that. Like, how do we figure out, can we have the conversation, and then from the conversation, can we find a resolution? And I think saying that about, you got in there, you were able to have those conversations with people who have some level of power, and then leverage that power back into the community even more, represent who lives there, who's from there, is powerful within itself. And it's like, you know, LO, the whole idea is about, you know, being a really inclusive and being supportive of, you know, the positive side of things. Not to ignore the struggle. It's not to say negative things don't happen, but we have to maintain consistency around a positive approach to finding resolution. Because at the end,
I agree.
We all people. And so seeing you as one person take what you had and flip it and be able to be like, we out here, we gonna make it work. I'm gonna just give it to my friends. I think, you know, it needs to be highlighted, and people need to know, like, the stories are always complicated and there's always two sides, and it's not so easy to just be like, well, we done, because it's different for every person involved.
It's so easy to cancel a corporation, right? But you don't think about the people that it employs, especially in inner cities. Like, okay, I'm totally against gentrification and getting rid of the mom and pop shops and stuff like that. But if these corporations don't care that we don't want them here, they're going to come anyway, right? And now they're going to employ the people of our community that are usually Black and brown. And with my community, you know, like where I live, I don't know what the demographics are where you live, but like, to me, it just, people are losing sight of the people, right? When we say Black Lives Matter, we're talking about people. We're not talking about a movement. Like, Black lives, human beings. Like, you know, so I feel like sometimes there's like too many hands in the pot. There's too many voices, you know, trying to outshine each other and out yell each other and out protest each other, that they miss the point that this is about Black lives. This is about lives, and they're Black lives that are employed at that store that y'all want to boycott. And now there's going to be Black lives without a job. You think the government gives a fuck about them? No. So it's like, you know, it's like people really need, I know that there's great people with great hearts in this movement, but I think that we always got to come back to the point that this is about people and it's about loving people. And I always say love is not enough to make a change, but it must be the foundation in order for anything to be sustainable. And so I got chills. I feel like I'm about to preach, but yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I mean, let it go.
Right. It just frustrates me, and that's all. Because yeah,
I'm right there with you. Like I feel it. Like, you know, I'm just to kind of bridge the gap, right? Like, I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from San Francisco, California, right? And everybody has their idea of how, you know, it's progressive and it's liberal and, you know, it's forward thinking, right? But in reality, when you a Black person or a brown person, it, you know, I always tell people, like, it's not about racism, and the racism don't show up like hatred. It shows up as indifference, right? Hatred means I got to acknowledge you there. Indifference,
yep,
I'm gonna act like you don't exist. And
yeah,
that's
that's crazy.
what happened is that, you know, we live in this city where I see so many people from out of town come and they're like, I want to be a part of the culture. And you don't even take the time to learn the culture, to understand the culture, to really submit yourself to what the culture has already been like,
Right.
to understand what it is, to then support the culture, right? And so to me, you know, when you say those things about like we just gonna cancel a whole corporation, like, it's tough when, you know, that is true. Like, those corporations do employ people, and there's more conversations to be had about how do we leverage that to be better rather than getting rid of it outright, because
Right.
we still got bills to pay, we still got mouths to feed, and if we are trying to like help build our community, well, there's some level of monetary responsibility involved, and
Exactly.
we're not at the table having those conversations with the people who sign the checks, and
Right.
we're there to piss them off. Well, I mean, there might be an ally that we turned into our enemy if we're not mindful of how we approach them, right? Like, it's a fine line. It's like there's a time. My mother would always say, "There's a time and place for everything," right? There's a time for your anger, and there's a time to learn how to manage that anger and concentrate and refine it into getting it across in a way that isn't going to harm someone else. Because that's another thing
Right.
I don't really take into account, is that if we're just harming each other, there's no harm being resolved, right? We're not addressing it, we're not acknowledging it, and we try to, you know, we can get lost in it, and it just becomes
Yeah.
a cycle, right? If you keep doing the same thing and you expect different results, well, that's insanity. And
Right.
sometimes people can look really insane. So, you know, I feel you. Trust me. The out here, I've been in the marches. I done protested so many things, and
Right.
it is tough when people get involved who may not have any awareness of what it means to really show up in that way, in a
Right.
responsible, sustainable manner, as you said.
Yeah. You said it perfect.
I would say it begins with educating yourself. And I think this is exactly why we're here, to educate others and to shed light on these topics that need to be not just discussed, but acted out.
Yeah. I agree completely. And I think it's a layered thing. I think that everybody has a role to play. I think that, like, so I'm for the riots. I'm for the peaceful protests. I'm for burning this shit down. I'm for singing Kumbaya. I'm for it all, because I think that everything has a role to play. Like, it's just finding where your role is and how you could support the movement in any way. Because this is not, you know, just a Black Lives Matter movement. This is a people movement. This is a fucking revolution. Like that never really ended. You know, so I think, yeah, it's a layered thing that I've had conversations like this so many times, and I don't know if there's actually like a conclusion we could come to, or if there's an answer or a solution we could find. I think it'll be an ongoing fight, because this country was built on racism. The system is not broken. It is operating the way that it was created to work. So it's like, what do? We can't just infiltrate a system and fix it. We need to, I almost said destroy it all, but the FBI is probably listening. We need to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
we need
I hear you.
we need to, like, right?
I mean,
we need, something's gotta happen. Like,
you know, we swerve, and you know that, right? The thing is that what I want to kind of take in and really highlight is, right, you said it's a system that's working, right?
mm-hmm.
I think that if we are very mindful and very open, right, there are things that we can exploit and duplicate that are part of the system, but not the whole system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it's more so because I mean, trust me, the other me, the me that ain't in LO, trust me, I'm right there with you. But
right.
time while I'm here, let me be the one to kind of like frame it in this way.
Right.
The way that I'm trying to frame it is, right, we seeing it all play out, and there is no answer. There's no one person has stepped up as our leader, and to me that makes sense because all of our leaders got killed. So why would anybody want to take that responsibility? So to me, it is about the people. And you know, with that, do I have my own criticism? Yeah, because I'm gonna keep it real. I've been a part of the struggle. I've been out here since I was a child trying to, you know, change things, and I've seen how little people would show up, right? And I'm hoping that people, because they can't turn away from it, right? Like, we right now are dependent on technology. Imagine the conundrum of like, yo, we are trying to talk about a revolution when there's billionaires who benefit from our revolution.
Right.
We're not talking about that, right?
Right.
Here just being like hashtag, not realizing that every time we share, somebody's getting paid off of pain. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It reminds me back in the day when everybody, I mean, it still happens, but people get the airbrush shirt with the RIP, and we not realizing that there's a guy who's getting paid off of people's
to make them. Right. That's wild.
Right. So in this idea, right, there's so many pieces to kind of dissect and pull apart. And to me, my humble request is we need to be organized. We have to, and we have to unanimously agree on certain things, because once we have those things uniform, it's no longer, you know, like I've gotten into the arguments too, people who were against the rioters or against the violence that's been acted out. And I'm like, you know, when you've been on the opposite end, the receiving end of all of the violence and the unjust cause, how do you expect people to act out in any other way when that's all they've been shown? Like, if you're not going to take it upon yourself and go volunteer your time to go into the hood and teach some little kids how to read, because guess what? In the Bay, when you look at the statistics and the data, they're already determining who's going to jail in the third grade based off of attendance, based off of their reading scores, and based off of like their participation in class. So if you're not going to take it as a person who is against the idea of violence and show compassion, love, empathy, and be able to equip them with resources, valuable education, and just go into the hood and be like, look, I got books. I'm here to read. I'm here at this Boys and Girls Club. I'm here for it, right? If you're not doing that, then what are you doing? You sitting on the sidelines and you complaining. And to me, that's where I find it difficult to just, you know, be all peaceful, whole hum, when it's like, no, we can do things that can disrupt this system. We can throw little wrenches in every if we're thoughtful and we're looking at what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is people who are tired, people who, you know, like yourself, you're sitting here highlighting what you've noticed and what's impacted you, and trying to convey it to others, right? Like you are becoming a beacon for other people to identify with, to be like, you know what, she a white woman, maybe I should think twice about how I respond to Black people, because she's obviously showing some level of compassion or empathy, and because she looks like me, I may resonate more with that.
Right.
People gonna feel how they feel about it. People gonna be pissed about it. Like, how could this white girl do that? Man,
They do already.
spectrum. Thank you. I appreciate it, because we need everybody at the table right now. We need everybody.
Thank
Every
you.
person matters. Every person needs to be a part of it, but it won't be that way until we can have Black Lives Matter, and we have people
Right.
speak on it and say it. And so to me, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, how do we infiltrate where we can? How do we make the adjustments where they're needed? And if it does mean to dismantle it, I'm not one for necessarily blowing it up, but if that's what has to happen, I mean, it ain't gonna be me.
Right. I like what you said, though, how everyone needs to be at the table right now. Because if you look at the history of every civil rights wave of the civil rights movement that's happened in this country, there's always been white people a part of it. And the media really does divide us. Ever since this country had a media, it's always been Black people against white people. If you watch this documentary called Soldiers Without Swords, it's amazing. I watched it in my race and ethnic minority group course in college, and it blew my mind how the media really divides us. Like, it really perpetuates this idea that white people are not for Black people. Now, don't get me wrong, demographically in this country, white people usually live around white people, right? Because of segregation, because of the way this country was made. However, in every movement, there has been white people. So if I go into a room, right, automatically, because of my skin color, people are going to listen to me more than they're going to listen to y'all. Am I cool with that? No, that's awful, right? But at the same time, I must be aware of that. So I must be aware of what I'm saying. And I must be aware, especially if I'm speaking on matters as this, and if I'm in front of people who are, part of the movement, I must be aware that my white privilege holds weight, and that a white supremacist system cannot be dismantled without white people. I say this all the time. If Black people were going to dismantle an oppressive system that oppresses them, they would have did it by now. And I know that's not correct grammar, but Black people are the most innovative, strong people. We all come from Black people. The first human beings were Black. You know what I'm saying? And that is just this is a fact. So if Black people were going to destroy a system that oppressed them, they would have done it already. So we live in a white supremacist system in this country. And I truly feel that it cannot be destroyed without white people speaking up and saying that this is wrong and sacrificing their privilege. And, there are many situations where my whiteness doesn't count because I'm outnumbered by Black people. And then, I open my mouth to talk and my hair is curly. They don't know what I am. So it's when I say we need white people, we need white people, white people, who come from white neighborhoods, who, and I feel a lot of white people are afraid, or they feel like their voice is not valid, or they feel like they're not educated enough to speak on these things, right? The only reason why I know this history is because I took courses in college and I get books on my own, and I have people recommend books for me to read. But I don't feel like you need historical knowledge in order to care about the murder of people, innocent people. You don't need to have all these books I got behind me. You don't need to have them. All you need to have is a heart, and to know that you hold a privilege, you hold a weight. Your skin holds a weight that Black people do not hold. And so it is now, you have more power automatically. So I feel I know I'm rambling, but it's you must have compassion. And my point is that this system, we need white people to fight alongside Black people. Yes, I always say let Black people lead, specifically Black women. But we need to fight alongside them. We need to be there. And especially a government that thinks that they have all the power, that does have all the power, that was built to benefit white men. if they see a diverse group of people, they're going to be like, holy shit, our attempts to, segregate the country and, separate and plot the country against each other is failing. And I feel like that's when we really, truly get power. So yeah, I feel like some of the stuff I say is like sunshine and rainbows, and the other part is like, we're going to burn this shit down. But I think it all goes together at the end of the day.
You right.
Right.
Love so below.
Yeah. So yeah, I just be ranting, but hopefully you got what I'm trying to say. More white people need to own their shit and not be afraid to speak out.
No, you right.
Don't be afraid.
You right. You are right. Like, couldn't have said it better myself. So,
yeah. So yeah, there's that.
Well, thank you. There's that, and then that's the beginning. I think there's that. That's our beginning to go out and band together, really, as a collective, to create sustainable change, right? And reassessing where we are as a people, and where does it begin? It begins now with these hard to have conversations. So with that being said, I want to thank you, Leah James, for coming out and for sharing your pieces, sharing your wisdom, sharing your perspective, and just, well, I'm definitely filled with hope that that there's progress that has been made, and progress that has yet to be made and will continue to be made. And I want to thank Cineo for co-hosting this piece. Any lasting thoughts?
It's just this is amazing. Like, just to be frank, because it's we're all coming from different angles, right? We all coming from different places, different experiences, different lives. And, I hope that, what people take away from this is the idea of, like, we not always going to agree. It's not always going to be the same way, but we all here for the same reasons. We're here to just live and have our lives be respected. And so, Leah James, like, thank you so much for, like, being with us, giving us this time and giving us insight, because you share a valuable perspective that people aren't aware of. Like you said, we need the whitest of the white people, right? Like, you've immersed yourself, and it wasn't by choice. Like, at some point you decided to keep going, but you were born into this, right? And so now here we are, and there's people who may never get that distinction. And I would be ignorant to not say people dumb. And with that, right, like, you touched on love, and for me to come from a different angle, like, learn how to love yourself, because it is very easy to hate another when you don't truly love you. If you don't
absolutely
take time to appreciate who you are and feel empowered by who you are, right? It's not enough to see another person and use their stature to revalidate yourself. I'm not talking about that, because that's what happens. I'm talking about looking in the mirror, looking at the person sitting in your skin, and loving you, so that you can learn how to love others and learn your love language and communicate that. Because as easy as it is to say educate yourself on all these other things, we don't even talk about your wellness, your mental health, and your self-love. So please, by all means, love yourself. So, Leah, do you have any other things you want to, I have a lot of questions. I don't,
Go ahead. You could ask me whatever you want. I'm in no rush. It's up to you.
Okay. So what I want to know is, how did you become a spoken word artist? Like, take me through that journey. Like, how did?
Okay. So when my mom died when I was 13, and so when my mom died, I moved out to New Jersey. That's how I ended up out here. I think I said that earlier. And one of my I'm the baby out of 5, so one of my older sisters bought me a notebook and was like, "Here, you should write about how you're feeling." And I'm like, what? Like, what are feelings? Like, you know, like where I'm from, we don't talk about how we feel. We just survive. So one day I became extremely suicidal because after my mom died, it was horrible. I moved into a really abusive home and it was just really, really bad. And I always say, instead of picking up a pen to slit my wrists, picking up a knife to slit my wrist, I picked up a pen and I wrote instead. And it saved my life. So I would write my prayers for the longest time. I identified as a Christian at the time, and my family was Muslim. So to respect them, I would write my prayers. I would write letters to God. I would write about my pain because my sister I moved in with was 17 years older than me, and I didn't know her. So I moved in a house full of strangers. Like, it was horrible. So the only thing I had was my notebook. So poetry is extremely personal to me. I don't write anything I don't believe in. I don't speak about things that are not from my heart. So then I started writing, and then when I had a stroke, I lost my short-term memory, and that's how I became a spoken word artist, because I challenged myself to memorize the poetry. But for years, I didn't know that what I was writing was even considered poetry. I was just writing to survive, to live. Yeah.
Okay, so you was writing letters to God.
Yeah.
You know, these life situations happen, and now here you are as this, this strong woman who is definitely striking a whole lot of people in the hearts with your words. And I mean,
Thank you.
it definitely, as intentional and as unintentional as the segue was, like, that goes back to what I was saying about, like, you were able to find a way, in the most indirect way, to find stability and a foundation for you to find some type of wholeness, right? Like,
Yeah.
throw what it's going to throw at you, and you had something to at least try to anchor yourself with, and to, have, don't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, you wrote your book and you're still writing your book. And I, people take those things for granted. So, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
That piece right there, that's major.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Yes, and I noticed in your pieces that you do have an element of faith within them, and there's a line to go back to Dear Black Man where you say, and they are no savior, and you're referencing, I believe it's could you tell us a bit about that story that you're referencing in the Bible?
Yeah, so in the Bible, Jesus spit in the dirt to heal a blind man, right? And so I say that they spit on your character to help the blind see, but they are no savior, they are serpent. So basically, racist people are Satan. And that's what I feel. I feel like racism is the biggest evil in the world. Yeah, and like what white people who are white, have made race to be. Because if you look around the world, the evil that it has caused and the death and the chaos that it has caused, I truly feel like that's the devil. Like, that's pure evil, and we miss that, especially in Christian settings. Like, they just don't acknowledge that. And so that's why I said that. And then that's why I also said later on that God's image is etched into your very being. Like, if we were truly made in the image of God, right? And these white slave masters used Christianity and twisted it in a perverted way to make Black people believe that they owed them their lives. Like, how could you do that to someone that you believe is a human being? And that's why they created the 3/5 law, where like, oh, well, they're not human, to justify their evil. So like, there's so much behind what I say. And my faith plays a huge role, even though I don't go to church anymore. And I'm like debating on whether to keep calling myself a Christian or not, because that has a negative connotation. I don't believe in no white Jesus. Like, so it's like, I have a faith in a God, in a power greater than me. So it bleeds through my poetry, no matter what, because my faith is what saved my life. And I look at people as like, we love one another because our Creator loved us, right? We are loved, and that should be in us. So that's why I put those lines in that poem, because I think it's really important to draw that godlikeness to people of color, Black people. Yeah, because they're dehumanized in every way in the society. That was a good question.
You definitely hit it on the head, like ball. Literally double entendres that easily get slept on because you come in with it with all this, just your life story, your lack of a better term, baggage, and you get to unpack
Oh,
it.
it's baggage for sure.
I mean,
But yeah.
out here, we all got our bags, but
Right.
from one artist to another, I always, sometimes you got to look back at what you wrote because there's so many layers to what it is you're hitting on, right?
Yeah.
Know that you're hitting on this layer of like, it is a very difficult conversation to talk about God's country, if you will, where, Christianity it's going through an evolution, if you will, right? It's going through this phase where people like yourself are trying to figure out what does it mean in this society when so many people have used it. And that's, I think, the biggest distinction, like you said, like your faith in God is what got you through this, right? And now you're trying to show others how that love transcends and translates through what you do and who you are.
Yeah.
There's people who will use that for their own benefit, for their own, devices of evil where, like whether you want to look at it in the most, faithful in the belief systems of religion, or you want to look at it as pure science, like
Right.
we all have an ego, and how we challenge our ego is going to make the difference, right?
Yeah.
Let our egos run rampant, then we going to forever be trying to outdo ourselves and try to compete against these non-existent entities for power. And
Right.
you see it on both ends, whether you're doing the devil's work or whether you're just trying to satisfy your ego, it's the same result. Someone has to suffer. And I think that, you said it best. It's like it was your faith, your love and your faith that got you through everything, because some people do give up. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And for you to see, like, all right, you going this is what you giving me. You gonna give me the lemons? All right, we making lemonade, we making lemon heads, we making lemon pie.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. There were times where I wanted to die straight up.
Good.
Right. And like beg God to not let me wake up in the morning. And then when I did, I'd be disappointed. And so that's why I know and when people would call me strong, I would be like, oh no, it's God, it's God. Now I'm like, now I'm strong as shit because that's how I was created. Like, because God made me that way. And that's more empowering than taking the power away from me and giving it all to my creator, because I believe God has created us to be powerful. So yeah, that's another reason why it's like a lot of my upbringing and my teaching is like, it's very, I don't know, it's very negative almost. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not enough within ourselves. And that's not a belief that I can ascribe to any longer, because I am more than enough within myself. And that's why I say, like, the white Jesus, the white Christianity was used to teach Black people that they are not enough within themselves, that they need a master, they need someone to answer to. And we don't answer to nobody but God. Like, so it's like, it's so layered. So thank you for saying that. Like, I really do believe that I have taken lemons and made a whole buffet out of these damn lemons. But like, it's something greater than me, that has made me to be that way. And thinking that way has just empowered me even more to want other people to be empowered, to know that like that same God who made me this strong has made you the same way. Like, we are made to be resilient. We are made to be powerful. So I don't regret, like, I don't regret leaving the church. I don't regret, any of that. It's been a journey. Don't get me wrong. People still talk shit, but if anything, it's empowered me way more than it has beat me down.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, you've been created to create. And what a goodness. So it's something that everyone needs to know, that yes, that they were not only created, but that there's something in them that can master greatness and can master strength. And you're living proof of that.
Thank you, man.
Mhm.
I just be out here trying to live.
Not everyone has your story, and as particularly with your mother, particularly with your brain hemorrhage. It's remarkable, and it's not something to put down. It's something to shine a light on.
Thank you. I used to feel like, I remember like laying in bed feeling like ever since I was a little girl, like I've had these deep ass thoughts. It's so annoying. It's draining as hell, right? But like I would always feel like I didn't have anything to give the world. I literally felt like this, like I had nothing to give the world. So I prayed and I asked God to give me a story that I could tell it and that people would know that he's real or she's real, right? Like that there's something greater than us that is real. So it sure enough happened. And like now it's like, that's why I could still hold on to like what I'm rooted in. And it may not be called Christianity, you know what I'm saying, or as we know it, but I know that I'm rooted in a belief that there is something greater than me, because when I asked for an undebatable story, I got it. And not only did I get it, I got more than what I asked for. Like I got a career. My voice has been heard around the world. My life is filled with people who love me because of my poetry. Like, so my life is filled with tragedy and loss. And yes, I got a shit ton of baggage that I'm working through, but it's like everything has a purpose. And if I could say that, and I've literally stared death in the face and got beauty out of that, or beauty out of loss in every way, I really believe that there is nothing that anyone cannot overcome. I don't know if I said that correctly, but you know, we badass. That's all. That's the point. Like we're all amazing. Like, but you gotta believe it, and it's something that is an ongoing process. Like, I'm not confident every day. Like, I just came out of a really deep depression, and I don't even know if I'm fully out. Like, so it's like, yeah, right, girl. I'm like, what? When's the last time I showered? Like, it was that serious, like really bad. Like, depression is real. So that's part of the baggage that comes along with my greatness. So when you look at people like me who are beautiful and inspiring, just always know that there's a time when I don't look this good, and then I cried for 7 days straight, and all my relationships with men failed because I don't know how to be intimate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is real shit that comes from losing everything. And so, girl, let me tell you, I met my 17th soulmate for like, you know what I mean, last week, and he's gone already. So it's like,
flames done settled out.
So it's like, I like to shine light on that too, to make it known that you are enough in all your brokenness and all your tragedy and all your trauma and all the bullshit that we face as human beings, whether you're Black or white or whatever. And my life experience has taught me that. And it's something that I sometimes have to intentionally think about and remind me. And so I do look at my tragedy as one of the biggest gifts that I could have ever gotten, because I have that to lean on, that it belongs to no one else but me. My story is mine. My experiences are mine. My survival is mine. And even though it weighs really heavy on me sometimes, it also is a banner that I could wave, that like is something to celebrate. And I think everyone can find that in their life. That was good. Make sure that's recorded, because I want to write that down, put that in my book.
For sure. It definitely, we got you.
When that book come out, you come back. And
all right.
okay.
I'll give y'all a shout out.
Get that release date unlocked.
Got Leah James with us here, Lyrical Ones. We have Leah James, for those of you that don't know, hitting us with powerful words, giving us and being vulnerable with us, much appreciated, and even more empowering for you to do so and for other people to see it. And, just to touch on what you said, the part to me that sticks out most is when you said as a little girl, you used to think like, I don't have anything to give to the world. But I think what's most inspiring about that is that you felt the need to want to give the world something.
Wow.
It's easy to be so down on yourself, to be like, I don't have anything to give. And yet, who told you had to give anything at all, right? And yet you felt selfishness to be like, it's not about me. It's about the world. I want to give to the world. I don't know what to give. I don't know if I got it to give, but I want to give something to the world. And here you are giving to the world.
Wow.
And so, you know, to the little
Never
girl
looked at it that way.
right now, right, who's doubting herself, who doesn't know if she's enough, the fact that you even want to feel that, to feel enough, to know that you want to give something back to the world, by all means, you gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
Right. Yes.
Right? Whatever that was, whatever that little thing that influenced you to be like, I don't have nothing to give. Well, who asked you to give? Thank you for giving. I appreciate
Wow.
you for giving. Like, this world is complicated and it's a mess
Wow.
as is. And knowing that, you know, there's a little girl out there right now who's gonna share that same experience. Hopefully she hears this and hopefully she knows
Right.
all things will come true if you wanted to. You just got to
Yes.
believe and you got to keep pushing. And so
And you are enough already.
exactly.
You don't gotta go. You don't gotta have a whole brain aneurysm to be great. You don't gotta lose everything to be amazing. Like, I wish I knew that as a little girl. I'm great. I was great, just enough. That 13-year-old girl living in the hood, eating, going to bed hungry, not eating. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was enough then and there, and I am enough now. And that's beautiful. I never looked at it that way. The way that you just explained it, that was amazing. So thank you.
I mean, you're amazing. So, you know, thank you. Like, you know, it all goes full circle. So
Right.
it's a trip, but it's necessary.
Yeah, for sure.
With that, I know you spoke about some of the events once things, you know, whenever this thing happens, normal, whatever that is.
Right.
But like, do you have any other things that you're currently working on? Any opportunities that you got coming up outside of, you know, your live performances and pieces that you're doing? Like, what else is going on right now for Leah James that you want people to know?
So I'm going to write a book, and it's about damn time. And I keep saying that, and everyone's like, well, when are you going to write your book? And I'm like, well, when I'm not poor. And I'm like, well, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So let's just write this damn book and add a chapter in there about how I wrote the book while I was poor, right? So I kept on finding all these excuses about why I wasn't going to write the book, because there's still a huge part of me that doesn't want to be seen, that doesn't want to be known. Someone said something to me the other day that changed my mind. And he told me I was selfish for thinking that way. And I was like, excuse me? And I was like, when he said that, he's like, you have such a gift and such a story to tell the world. To keep it to yourself would be selfish. And when he said that, you know, I'm like, all right, damn, now I really got to write this book, because like I ain't no selfish person. So, right? So yeah, so I was like, oh man. So I want to write a book of poetry, because I could literally write a book tonight with poems. Like, so my first book I want to release is poetry, because that's what people know me for. But I want to write memoirs about my life, from childhood to who I am now. Like, how did I become Leah James? I want to write books, man. Like, spoken word is great, and I love performing, even though it's not a performance for me. I just love yelling on stage and crying in front of people. Like, so like, I love it. But right now I just keep going back to my book. I said earlier to y'all, someone blessed me with lighting. So I'm gonna work on my photography skills, my videography skills. I'm into modeling, so I'm gonna be pursuing that when the world opens up. Try to, you know, get this ass on a runway somewhere.
Yes, hunty, yes.
Right? I want to do it all. I'm on this healing journey, right, of like healing my inner child, which is hard as hell. You don't realize how traumatized you are until you think of that child. And when I was little, right, I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to do all this stuff. And the other day I was sitting there and I was like, yo, I'm funny as shit. People be cracking up at my Instagram. I be twerking on my Instagram. I be doing all the stuff that I did when I was little that like got knocked out of me from tragedy. And I'm like, wow, I'm healing my inner child just from attracting healing to me. So now I want to achieve all of those dreams that I had as a little girl, because I'm going to be 30 in October. I know I look good. Right.
In October too.
Right.
So
yeah.
It was all about that
I
inner
forgot.
child being you.
Right. And so I'm like, my 30s are where it's at. exactly. So I'm like, yo, I'm about to be 30. It's time to shine. Like, it's time to live and not just survive. Because I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to survive. No, I'm trying to thrive. Like, it's time to walk into all of that. So that's what I'm doing. Huh?
In any way we can help you thrive. We, here with Lyrical Ones, we represent Lyrical Opposition that also has Lyrical Academy. They put on workshops.
Yes.
For poets. So if that's something that
I love it.
To do, we want to open up the door to say, if
for
you
sure,
workshop, that'd be so great. And the way everyone's tuning in, so you still keep that international.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll be in California in November, y'all.
Okay, great.
So we gotta all like meet up in real life and do something magical. Even if like we're still on lockdown or something, we still gotta chill, get some drinks, some food. But I'll be in Southern California for about a week.
Oh, great! That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it.
See, look at fate. Look at that.
I know, right?
Right? That was dope.
Oh, yes. Well, let's see. This has been such an amazing interview. Thank you so much for coming through, allowing us to interview you and catch up and really connect. Let's see. I'm at a loss for words. It was so amazing.
I had a great time. You guys are amazing. Thank you for even asking me to come, and allowing me into your space, and allowing me to share my heart. Not just about my poetry and, I hate saying activism because I feel like, what am I really doing? But I'm, talking about like using my passion and for, the Black Lives Matter movement and just for the people that I love. Thank you for letting me perform and just showing my fine ass on this video.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, we love you, Leah James. Thank you. Yeah. Anytime, please.
For sure.
Onto our Lyrical Ones podcast.
No, Leah, thank you for blessing us. Like this was definitely one for the history books.
Yes.
We definitely, what can be said that hasn't been said already? We've definitely gone through a journey, and you've shared and been vulnerable and opened up to us in so many ways. And I hope that those that are listening, those that are watching can, feel inspired, feel encouraged to keep the dialogue going, to keep the conversation going. Like, right now as of recording this, it's July 2020, right? And, there's still so much work to do, and there's still so much energy to maintain, and we got to grow that energy. And hopefully this podcast, this conversation, this interview with Leah James inspires those who, if you haven't gotten involved, get involved now, right? If you want to see a different perspective on things and you need a different voice, Leah James is here for you, right? Leah James, what is the way that people can contact you, reach out to you? What is your, social media handles? How can people find you?
I have a website. Fancy, right? I know. Thank you. It's MissLeahJames.com, MSLEAH James, JAMES.com. You will access all my social media through there, but if you don't want to go to my website, I am Leah James on Instagram, but it's Leah James, so it's LEAHH James, because the other one was taken. It was like some other white lady with a guitar, and I'm like, first of all, I have a guitar, but you're not me, bitch. And Leah is sexier, so you'll never forget it. On Twitter, I'm James the Girl, because James is actually my nickname, and the girl because I'm a gangsta and I'm a girl, and was my Twitter before I ever started doing poetry, and I refused to change it. So you can just look up Leah James. If you look up Leah James, Dear Black Man, my YouTube channel will come up. Subscribe. I plan on utilizing that a lot more this year. Yeah. And you could just find me out here in these streets. That's all.
Out here. Leah, thank you. June, you got any final words?
Just 1,000 thank yous would never be enough.
Thank you, guys.
Well,
this was great. I just want to hug y'all. But, Corona. Way.
Hugs. Virtual hugs, everybody.
Right?
Oh, yes.
But this is Lyrical Ones. This has been an interview with Leah James. Thank you all for being a part of this experience, and to many more.
To many more. Thank you.
Yay.
Right, so we're back now, and just to kind of keep the transition to have people understand, the importance of that interview was about highlighting the current struggle that we're all in. Yes, 4th of July is around the corner. Yes, we want to celebrate each other, but we can't ignore the struggle that Black people are going through and all of the different perspectives that need to be shared and should be highlighted when it comes to this discussion. So keeping that approach of we complex humans, right? We have heavy, more really, the gravity and the weight of what we do will always exist. But now as we transition, this is important because, as before the interview